It sounds so cool. And all he's doing is going down the minor pentatonic scale. How does he do it? How does he make it sound so cool? So today we're going to be diving into the 5 patterns of the minor pentatonic scale. And I'm going to show you this little trick that allows you to kind of learn it all over the neck. And you'll be able to play up and down the whole neck of the guitar using this little trick. But also, I'm going to show you how guys like Angus Young breathe life into their scales and just make it sound so cool. So I'm going to take you through this little pattern here and give you some tips and insights around this. But first of all, let's just take a look at that amazing riff there. Now, that's embedded in this chord sequence, E, D, and A. Tight chords. Then he plays that lick and he just walks down the scale. Such a simple, cool lick, but let me give you a couple of secrets on it. So he's just walking down the scale, right? But one of the reasons it sounds so cool is because he begins that lick not on the downbeat, but on the offbeat, directly after the beat. It gives it almost like this stumbling feeling where it comes in right after the beat and then it kind of falls down the scale. So like, watch them play it right here. This is Angus and Malcolm playing together here. And they're just kind of backstage. So you can kind of hear some of the intricacies behind what they're doing. So they're keeping the beat in between the chords, right? And then you'll start that run straight after that beat. So it gives it that kind of syncopated offbeat sound where you're coming in right after the beat. So we had this question from Sticking With It 84, and he said, do a lesson on 7th chords and the blues scale and the different positions of those two things connected together. So thanks a lot for that question, Sticking With It, and that's a great question. So let's answer that. Now, I'm going to show you how these scales fit all over the fretboard, right? The pentatonic scale has this amazing relationship with dominant 7th chords. Now, one of the things in rock music, dominant 7 chords are often substituted with just basic power chords, as in the case of that AC/DC song. It's all power chords because they sound so great through a Marshall stack. But when you look at that chord progression, it's actually what's called a mixolydian chord progression. And what that means is when you get those 3 chords together, E, D, and A, E, D, and A, the key those chords are from is the key of A major, right? The only key that has an A, D, and an E in any order is the key of A major. And E mixolydian is the 5th mode of A major. So when you start a chord progression on an E and use a D and an A, it's an E mixolydian chord progression. But one of the coolest scales to play on top of that is the blues scale. It fits perfectly, and the minor pentatonic scale, because those mixolydian style progressions with those dominant 7 chords are in this kind of no man's land between a major chord and a minor chord, because that E chord, 5th chord in the key, is a major chord with a minor 7th in it. So that's why it works. That's why those scales fit over the top of those chords. So what I'm going to do now is show you basically how you can play all the 5 patterns. So if you're down here in pattern 1 and you got your E or your E7 or the mixolydian chord progression, that scale fits perfectly, just as you can see. But let's go over to pattern 2. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you that exact same lick, but playing it in pattern 2. So to play those same notes, right, we're going to do it like this. So right there, we're in pattern 2. You're going to start on the minor 3rd right here, and then you're going to walk down the scale. And then when you get to that A note there, you're going to do that bend. Now, it's a little tricky to do that bend with the 1st finger. So instead of that, we're going to try doing a slide to kind of achieve the same result. So there's the lick in pattern 2. It's the same lick. It's the same lick as pattern 1, but you're playing it in pattern 2. Now, the other thing that you can do is connect these scale patterns to the associated chords. So the chord that fits with pattern 2 is this one right here. So instead of playing the E right here, and its associated scale, I'm going to play the E like this. And and then play the notes around it from the pentatonic scale. And you can see how those two are married together. Fit together beautifully. You know, and you could play the whole riff like that. So you know, you play the E like that, the D like this, and then the A like that. Okay, so that's pattern 2. Then what we're going to do is now move into pattern 3, and you're going to play again the same exact lick. And it's a lot like pattern 1. But right here, it's kind of staggered on the B and G string. So you're going to play like this. You're going to play it like this. And again, I'm going to do a slide instead of the bend, because doing those bends on the lower strings, it gets a little bit more muddy. It doesn't quite have the same twang. So I'm going to do the slide, right? So if you want to put the chords to that, right, you're in pattern 3. The chords to go with that would be the E like this, and then the D, the power chord, and then the A like this, bar chord, or like this, half bar. So you've got. So that lick, pattern 3 is a fantastic pattern to play in. BB King's favorite pattern. Some people even call it the BB box, because right there you can get all those. BB box is actually where you take pattern 3 and then you mix it with the notes from the major pentatonic scale as well. And I've done some videos about that, but that's kind of another story. And then you get into pattern 4. Now I call pattern 4 the secondary blues box, because it's the same as pattern 1, but it's just moved over to start on the 5th string. So if you play pattern 1 down here like this, you can play the same thing starting right here on the 5th string. So there's your E note, there's the root, and it's the same pattern. It's an octave higher. See how it looks the same? Now the only thing is, everything on the guitar is always shifted over 1 fret when you cross between the G and the B strings. So when you do that on pattern 4, you just have to move up 1 fret. So the whole of pattern 4 goes like this. And if I'm going to play the chords with that, just the power chords, there's my E, here's my D, and then here's my A. So you got. So there's the lick right there, starting right there on your middle finger, and then walk down, slide. Okay, and then the last one here, we're going to move into pattern 5. I love pattern 5. It's got a great sound, and then the lick would be right here. Right there. So it looks the same, but it's in the middle strings this time. And then the slide. So, and the chords. So there you have it. That's that same lick played on all of the 5 patterns. So that's a great little exercise to practice, is the idea of just taking one simple lick and then being able to play it in each of the different 5 patterns. And then from there, you can take that lick and you can turn it inside out, back to front, and kind of have fun with it and improvise with it and play with it.